It's the finest gastronomic experience, I think, in Japan, actually.
But Christine, thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Good morning, Lance. Thank
Good
you
morning.
for having
It's
me.
morning time. Nobody knows that but us.
It's true.
That's right. That's true. Listen, Christine, we were sitting at dinner together, and I was really surprised when you said to me, you have the best restaurant in Tokyo. And you told me it's a bespoke restaurant.
That's right. It's the finest gastronomic experience, I think, in Japan, actually.
Okay.
And it's completely bespoke, so we tailor the restaurant to the needs and the preferences of the clients. Most fancy restaurants, they expect the guests to come with their dress code and to eat what they have on the menu,
Right.
and all that, and to come at the appointed time and end at the appointed time, whereas we are completely, at the beck and call of our clients.
So you mean, so for example, if I came and I had a family with me, my family with me, let's say we're 6 of us, and I came in there and let's say I came in, I'm really casual.
Yes.
Would that be a problem?
No, not at all. Of course, if you were in like a
No, beachwear. I can't
beachwear,
wear.
yes. If
well,
you're in
you
a
can't do that on
beachwear,
us
but
anyway.
then the kind of people who
They
would
wouldn't do it
come to our
anyway.
restaurant would
They wouldn't do that
yes
anyway.
would not be doing that. However, for example, if you came in like off from shopping in Ginza or something and went to the restaurant, there would be absolutely no problem with that. I mean, we have people coming in very fancy dress because it's a special night out,
Right.
and we have people coming in from shopping exactly in the Ginza, and everything is fine.
But the thing is, you told me before too, because it's bespoke, and the location is right underneath the Prime
The
Minister's
official
residence.
residence of the Prime Minister,
Minister.
in Nagata-cho, yes.
God.
It's a lovely building, very old and with a provenance, because the family of director Akira Kurosawa used to run a soba and shabu-shabu restaurant on that property for, I think, around 30 years.
30 years, right.
Yes.
That was very famous too.
It was.
Kurosawa-san.
Exactly.
My goodness.
Yes.
So you've had the restaurant for how long?
Well, we've officially been open for just over a year now.
Okay.
We've, of course, been preparing for quite a while. The Kurosawa restaurant closed during the pandemic, and that's when we took it over,
Right.
and we renovated, and then we had a soft opening where we tried everything and said, this works, this doesn't work, we should do this better. And then after that, we formally opened to the public, not with a grand opening because we're a very discreet restaurant, but we opened our doors figuratively to the paying public, and that was probably in September last year.
Right. But when you say pay in public, the public won't know about your restaurant.
Yes, we don't have a sign, we don't have a website, and we don't have a publicly listed phone number.
So how do people find, wait, they have to use telepathy or something to get it to your place? Is word of mouth?
Well, it would
one
help
thing,
if they knew me.
Right.
That would
Okay.
be a
So if
direct
they know
line.
you, okay, if they know you, that's
Yes,
one way.
yes.
And what's the other way?
Well, we work with luxury travel advisors from all around the world,
Right.
and we work with the top DMC companies in Japan,
Right.
and of course we work with the concierge of all the best hotels in Tokyo. So for example, if there's a guest at the Aman Tokyo or the Janu, the Four Seasons
Peninsula.
hotels and resorts, yes, all these hotels, if they had a guest who is looking for a very special experience, the concierge might recommend a restaurant, or the general manager might recommend our restaurant, or for example, the guest might have heard it from someone somewhere else in the world, and they would ask the concierge to book Nagata-cho Ohka for them, and they don't know where it is, they don't know how to contact that restaurant, but they ask the concierge about it, and if it's a top hotel in Tokyo, they would know us.
But that doesn't guarantee they'd be able to get in, isn't it? Aren't you
Yeah.
booked up until, you said October of next year?
We do have bookings until October of next year,
Right.
but of course, it's a matter of a day-by-day condition.
Right.
We do have available seats occasionally, and I think it's all a matter of serendipity in that sense.
Are there any days that you're not open?
We do close for a week in August, and in January we're closing again for a week. However, the most important thing to remember here for people who want to dine at our restaurant is that we're open from December 30 till January 5 in Japan. So during this period, very few really good restaurants are open.
Right.
You have the hotel restaurants, But aside from those, most of the good restaurants in Tokyo would be closed. However, we're open on the 31st, we're open on the 1st. If people are looking for a nice place to dine on the 1st to start the new year right, well, we're open.
Okay, but they'd have to go to a real nice hotel or something to find out,
Yes.
or be lucky enough to know you.
They
And
could
may
look
not
me up
find
on
you.
social media.
Where were you born? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Manila,
Okay.
the Philippines.
Right.
And I moved to Tokyo for college, midway, and I thought I'd be staying for a year, and I ended up staying for the rest of my life. So,
But until so you moved here when you were going into college?
yeah, I
So you
moved
finished
here third year college.
Third year
I did a
college.
junior year abroad
Right.
from my school in Manila, my university.
Okay.
And I thought I'd be here for 10 months.
Right.
So I basically didn't go to school. I traveled the whole country. I said, when else will I see Japan?
Right.
And little did I know I'd end up living here forever, basically.
But wasn't your father in the military?
He was.
And he was he a general?
Yes, he was a three-star general.
Three-star general.
He went to West Point, and he ended his military career commanding the biggest district of the Philippines, the biggest region in the Philippines, which is
Okay.
the Mindanao region. So he was commander of Mindanao.
But that's the Philippine military.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yes.
A three-star general. My goodness. So, but did he travel a lot? Did you travel a lot with him, or were you mostly based in the Philippines?
I was mostly based in Manila. However, after the military career, my father went on to become the first Philippine ambassador to Cambodia after the revolution in Cambodia, the civil war actually. So during that time, my family was living in Cambodia, and I was already in Tokyo, so I would go back and forth. But of course, at that time, Phnom Penh was basically sort of like a second home to me as well.
Now, you have siblings?
Yes, I have two.
Are you the
I'm the
oldest?
eldest and the only girl.
And so you were the princess, I'm telling you. So daddy spoiled you. How many years between you and your next sibling? You and your brother?
Not 3 years actually.
3 years. So you
Yes.
guys are all close?
Well, as close as can be when you live in a different country.
Are they both in the Philippines?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And how's your father doing? Is
He
here?
passed away about 12 years ago now.
Okay. All right. And your mother?
My mother as well. She used to be a political columnist of our biggest newspaper in the Philippines for about 28 years. But now she's retired, enjoying the grandchildren, enjoying traveling.
Now, when you went to college, were you studying the culinary arts when you were in college?
Not
or
at all. I mean,
what-
I did social sciences and economics.
How'd that? Okay. How'd you move from there into the restaurant business?
Well, social sciences and economics is not a big leap to running a business in many ways. I mean, you do learn skills that are necessary for running a business. Plus, I think a lot of the skills needed to run a business, you know this better than I do, a lot of it is already, you're born with it or you're not. Or you've developed it when you were young or, when you were growing up, or you didn't. So a lot of it isn't from a degree, but it's from the skills you learned as when you were young or when you were growing up, or at least before you were 50. Although I think it's never too late to start anything.
That's for sure. Hallelujah. Especially in the age we live in now.
Yes.
When you can, my mother's 96 years old and she still lives alone.
My goodness.
And she takes care of herself
What
because
a
she
nice
can.
success
We get on.
story.
I can call her and see everything she's doing.
Yes.
And it's just easy. You have monitors and all kind of things now. So
Yes.
this is one of the best times I think in human existence for us to live, because you can basically do most of the stuff on your own.
Yes, and really, all this in the right hands can open up an entire new world.
Right, because you found that out when we were together
Thanks
the
to
last
you.
time. No. 'Cause you were
I
saying-
haven't been
you said-
sleeping thanks to you.
Now let's explain what that's all about. There's a little program that came out not too long ago called
Yes.
ChatGPT.
Yes.
And you were telling me you wanted to write your first novel.
Yes.
And I said, so you're only going to write one? And you said, what do you mean? You said to me, I remember you said to me, you said, well, I want it to be good. I said, what do you mean good? You can make one that's sad, one that's really happy. You can make one that's melancholy.
And 100 that are good.
You can do all that. And you just tell it. And then we came in here and I showed you a little bit and you just went, oh.
Yes. Yes.
And then you wrote me that and then you said,
Yes.
I can't go to sleep now.
Exactly. No, literally, even today, I woke up at 5:30 and before coming here, I wrote another chapter.
So what chapter are you on now?
11.
11. So how many
Yes.
chapters do you think you're going to have?
Well,
a novel has basically.
I asked ChatGPT how many words I need to write to make a bestseller,
Right.
and they said about 80,000 words.
80,000
yes,
words. So
and
how
I
many
think
chapters
about
would that be?
25,000. Well, it really depends on
How you do. Yeah,
and how you do it, but it's really the number of words that makes a novel, apparently, according to ChatGPT.
Right. Because that's just the largest database in the world.
It's amazing.
That's what it is.
Incredible.
But it always tickles me when people say you're cheating, and I say, oh, excuse me. So, am I cheating if I use digital camera to take 15 pictures when in the old days I could take one and have to wait 2 weeks to get it developed? What do you call cheating?
Yes, and ChatGPT is a tool, I think. For
That's all it
example,
is.
it's not like you say, write me a novel, and then it's published tomorrow.
It doesn't know anything about you.
Yes, and you have to revise and revise and revise. So for me, it's almost like a typewriter. It types what I want to say. I mean, I tell my stories to it on voice, and it types it out. And
so
then I revise it.
You figured it out.
Yes, and then I revise it and I edit it, which is why it's taking a long time. Otherwise, I would have 100 novels in a week. But I'm doing it this way. So for me, it's really a tool rather than the writer of the novel, because I'm the writer. But it makes
story.
it easier to write the novel because I'm in a car, in a taxi, and I'm dictating my story, and it's typing it out, and then I read it, and then I revise, and I say, no, it should sound like this, and it's amazing. I love it.
The tool's only as good as the person using it.
Yeah, and really, I mean, it's a machine, and it's not a machine; it's a program.
It's a program.
So, it's a tool to be used to make things quicker, to make things easier.
To help you create more.
Exactly.
That's all we're doing.
Exactly. So it's not the producer, it's not the creator.
It isn't.
It's a tool that creators can use to make things better.
Right. You have to know where you're going or else you wouldn't get there.
Yes.
You know what it's gonna. You know when it's finished. Chat won't know.
Yes.
That's what makes it so nice.
Yes.
I'm glad you're enjoying that.
Super.
So tell me. So in school, when you were going through school.
Yes.
Because you'd say you have one child.
Yes.
Okay, it's a girl.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. 15 years old.
15 years old. And you have her in one of the international schools here.
Yes, she's at the American school.
And she enjoys it there?
Very much.
Because I taught at the American school.
Oh, you did?
For 3 years. I taught there from 77 to 80. I was physical education for the elementary school.
Yes.
I didn't tell you that last time?
No.
Yeah. I taught there. I taught at Sacred Heart for 2 years.
You've done a whole lot of things,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, I've been around here for a little bit too.
You were your own ChatGPT before ChatGPT was invented.
See, when these tools come out, like I was saying earlier before we did this, when the tools come out, they only touch you or feel good to you if you've already been thinking about it.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
And I find so many other ways to use it now. Because people said, okay, ChatGPT is for writing emails or doing reports, but I asked it on Sunday, where can I eat the best Shanghai crab in Tokyo? And it gave me the right answer. Of course, I could have probably found it out in Google too, but ChatGPT is so easy.
It's better than Google now.
Yeah, I think so.
And see, the Google's for people my age, and we still Google stuff. But all the younger generation, because it's attached to TikTok, it's attached to Instagram.
Yes.
They've attached on, they don't realize they're using chat.
Yes.
It's just attached to it. So I just ask Chat directly. I say, what's the best thing? What if I wanted to say this and stuff? I talk to it the way you talk to your best friend or someone that you think knows so much.
Yes.
And just ask. And sometimes it tells me stuff I don't want to hear. I say, good, that's not how I want to do it.
And because I work in different languages, because I have a hotel in Spain. And
we have to talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay, you're flying into Spain. You told me the story before.
Yes.
Tell me how that went. You were going to Spain.
You mean about the hotel?
Yes.
Well, actually, I was flying into Tokyo during the pandemic, escaping the pandemic.
You're flying into Tokyo?
From Manila, because Manila was on lockdown, and Tokyo was not. So I decided that we would move from Manila to Tokyo, during the pandemic. This was in June 2020.
Your daughter, your husband, and you?
Well, my daughter and I were in Manila,
Okay.
and my husband was here in Tokyo, and
Okay.
we were sort of, doing this commute basically for her school because she was at the British school in Manila. But when everything went online, I said, there's no point to remain, in Manila for the school. So we moved here to Tokyo, and as the plane was landing, I had this idea in my mind, why not buy a property in Spain? I know, crazy. I think it was the
You were looking at a brochure or something?
No, I was drinking plum wine. So I blame it on the plum wine. Yes. I was in Japan Airlines drinking plum wine. Actually, my second glass, I think, and that's quite strong, right? And the thought came into my mind, why don't you buy a property in Spain? And as soon as I got home, I said to my husband, let's buy a property in Spain. I mean, I hadn't seen him for 4 months. Okay. And it was the middle of the pandemic, or actually still that time in the pandemic when there was no end in sight, and he thought I was crazy. Okay. And rightly so.
Okay.
But I started Googling. At that time, there was no ChatGPT.
There was no chat.
So I started Googling properties for sale in Spain, and I found the one I liked in Granada, and I bought it without seeing it.
You hadn't seen it at all?
No,
you didn't
because
fly there?
No, it was the middle of COVID.
Was there a video or anything of it?
Well,
Did they have a video?
There was a grainy video and a couple of photos. But I decided to buy it anyway. I don't know why. There was something pulling me to buy it, or pushing me would be the right word.
How big? How much space?
Well, the entire property is about 46,000 square meters of land.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And what about the villa itself?
The villa
it's Hacienda,
itself,
right?
Yes, it's about maybe 1,200. No, sorry. It's about 10 to 12,000
covered.
Square meters.
Okay, covered.
Yes.
Wow. How many rooms?
7 rooms.
7 rooms. They're all suites.
Yes. Well, they're bedrooms and suites.
Okay.
But they're all en suite. And it's a beautiful little hotel in Spain. We call it Casa Rural. So it would be basically a luxury bed and breakfast, but we do have a private chef to cook dinners and all that kind of thing for guests who do stay on the property.
Is that also bespoke?
Yes.
So with the chef, he comes out the same way as they do in the restaurant with a bunch of like a duck and a pig and...
Slightly different. Although most of our ingredients are farm to table. We have our own vegetables, and our neighbors do have produce around the valley. But the chef would meet the guests and ask them what they would like to have, and create the menu for the evening with them. Or if they didn't have any idea of what to eat, we do have a standard menu of our specialties, which I love. I've stopped eating in restaurants around the area because I love the way our chef makes paella, for example, and all these good things, which I used to eat a lot of in the restaurants around us, until I discovered our chef makes it so much better.
And he's just there. He's in Spain.
Yes, he is. I mean, he's in the next town.
So how often is that also full as far as the booking, or is it pretty?
It's seasonal because Tokyo is full all year round.
Right.
Whereas Granada, where the hotel is quite a seasonal property. However, we do a lot of destination weddings, for example, and so that takes up the season from May until middle of October. Mm-hmm. And then we have groups and retreats, usually in October and November. We have people celebrating the holidays in December. And then we have the ski season from January to March, because we're in Granada, which is the home of the Alhambra, which is Spain's most visited UNESCO World Heritage Site. But we're also 30 minutes from the beach, and about 45 minutes to 60 minutes from the ski slopes. The Sierra Nevada is the southernmost ski slope of Spain. So we're beautifully located between the beach, the slopes, and Spain's most visited UNESCO World Heritage Site. So we do have guests almost all year round because of this.
How do people find out about your...
This one has more marketing. We do have a website, and we do have a publicly available phone number and email for people to book. And we're part of Preferred Hotels and Resorts in their luxury collection. So we do get a lot of publicity.
Because I saw a picture of you. This is back to this was about the villa, but was that in Tatler?
Oh,
That
the
was the
restaurant
restaurant. That
came
was the
out in
restaurant.
Tatler.
In Tatler,
But
right.
for example, the hotel, the story of the hotel has been written about in a lot of magazines and
Right.
newspapers. For example, my story has come out in USA Today, for example, and lots of news agencies in Asia have also picked it up, and because they thought it's quite an interesting, incredible, or rather crazy story to be buying a property.
And that's what your novel's going to be.
Yes,
Somewhat about
it's
that,
about
right?
that.
It's
Yes,
about that.
exactly. Because a lot of people were pushing me to,
They said they
write
couldn't
my
believe you
novel.
did it.
Yes,
But see,
you
you
should
lucked
write your
out, though.
story. And then I
Yeah.
met you. So,
Right. But you really lucked out. So maybe it's serendipity, like you said.
Yes.
Because why are you meeting me right now? And you
Yes.
just did that, but you
Yes.
lucked out buying property because we're in the
Yes.
real estate business.
okay.
You know, my second son.
Yes.
Was that? No, Louis wasn't with me then. That was Lucian, my youngest, was
I
with me.
see.
He's the
Okay.
trader. He's in FX trading.
I see.
But Louis, we're in the real estate business.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about real estate, if you ever get one of these premonitions again, say, I want to buy that building over there. Contact us because that's what we do.
see. Oh, seriously?
Right. Oh,
How
yes.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, we have a couple of people that we're working with right now, helping them. We're looking for some big properties, and we try to keep it to the top tier.
And it's in Japan. You're looking.
Anything in
basically-
Japan. Anything
I
in Japan.
see.
He's
Well,
got
this
his
is
license.
the place to be actually right
Tell
now.
me about it.
Yes.
Because it's an aging society, an
Yes.
aging population, and their properties have to go somewhere. The banks have so many properties.
Yes.
They don't know what to do with.
Yes.
Some of them they don't even list.
And the demand is so high
It
right
is.
now.
Everyone knows this is the place to be.
Yes.
Because your property's safe,
Yes.
it's secure, everything. Another thing that most cities don't have, everything works.
Yes. It is. We can't complain. It is a
There's
wonderful
no way to
city.
complain. Everything works.
Yes.
So it's beautiful, yes. And I used to say, long time ago, because I've been here for quite a while, there used to be the time that you really had to flag down the taxis. And if it was past 11 o'clock when the train stopped, if you didn't do this,
And what does
you
that mean?
didn't know what this meant?
Victory or something?
No, it meant I'll pay twice the
Oh
fee.
my
So someone
goodness.
could be in front of me, and I used to love it. You'd have people in front of me,
Yes.
waving foreigners,
Oh.
like this for the tag, and I go like this behind them, or this 3 times the fee, and the cab would go right past them and come to me. But you had to know that. If
I
you pay twice
see.
the fee, you get it.
I
But now, if you raise your hand above your heart, a cab would try to stop. You're not even trying to get a cab.
And actually,
There's
you
somebody
just
around.
click something on the phone and you
Yeah,
can
you're
get
right.
a cab quite easily.
They come
isn't it?
and they're right in a heartbeat.
Yes.
No, so
Yeah.
it's really changed.
I know. I mean, I used to wish I had a driver in Tokyo, and now I have Uber.
That's
So
right. You really
I
don't need
don't
it because you can get it
need one.
anytime you want it.
Yes.
How long have you been in Japan now?
I don't want
You
to.
know, it's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. Don't do it. Don't do it if you don't want
since,
to.
Well, since
Don't
I
do it.
was
Don't
in
do it.
junior year in
We don't want to
college,
talk
let's
about
put it
that.
that
We'll leave that.
way.
We'll leave that alone. But you enjoy it. Do you see yourself being here indefinitely?
Yes, and also moving around in different places.
Of course.
At
But
the
this
same
you'll always
time.
have a base here. You're
Yes,
saying.
of course.
Right.
yeah.
Do you have a place in Manila?
We've actually sold it. We used to have one, but we sold it during the pandemic, and so now Tokyo is really the base.
Is it?
Yes.
So what does the future hold with you? I know you're working on your restaurant quite a bit. You
Yes.
You just started that
I'm
out.
very
So it's-
excited with the
Are
restaurant.
you there most of the nights?
Not most of the nights, but when important guests
Then
are
you'll come,
there, I
right.
do go because I do a lot of the marketing and sales for the restaurant.
right.
So, but when we have VIP guests and high-profile guests, I do come to personally explain the
Okay.
philosophy of the restaurant and how everything works, and help them with the ordering and make sure they're comfortable.
How many languages do you speak?
Well, badly, 5.
5 languages. Okay.
Yes.
So you
I
have
see.
how many chefs do you have in your
Oh,
restaurant?
we have 9 chefs.
9 chefs.
Yes, and we have a staff or team. We have a team of about 20 people. We're still looking to hire. So it's a very high guest to staff member ratio because we are the finest gastronomic experience in Tokyo, if not in Japan. So, we don't cut corners. We make sure everyone is taken care of in the manner that they expect, and we like to over-deliver. This is very important to me because we're not a cheap restaurant. So we need to over-deliver. And our return rate is very, very high. A lot of people do eat in a restaurant whenever they're in Tokyo from overseas because they love it. And every time they come, it's different because they can choose what they want. And a lot of people, for example, leave it to the chef on the first time, and they already know what they're going to eat the next time. It's in their mind, having had the experience. They said, "Oh, next time I'm going to have this, and I'm going to ask him to cook this." You know, then they feel it's their home. They feel it's their kitchen. They feel it's their private club. So this is basically how.
But you told me you've even had guests that have gifted their friends.
Yes, a lot of our guests have liked it so much that when they hear that their friends are going to Tokyo, they say, "Oh, you must have dinner in this restaurant and it's on me." And then their secretary or their personal assistant would call me or message me online, find me on LinkedIn, for example, and say, Mr. So-and-so would like to make a booking for his guest, and everything is going to be paid by us, and here's our credit card details. Just like that. So we do get that quite a bit.
Oh, that is wonderful. I hope to be like that someday.
I think you are now already.
Well, we belong to some of the same things. And
Yes.
that's like that. That's for sure. You know,
Yes.
we belong to a couple of clubs like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's nice. But it's something I guess you work towards. And I like to say, you notice at the end of my podcast, I always have a saying that it's all on loan. And I think thinking that way, you can enjoy life more instead of thinking that you really own it. You just take care of it for a while because
Yes.
you have to give it away. Eventually, it's not going to be, including
Well,
the body we're
yes.
in.
Yes.
So you want to enjoy it as much as you can while you have it. So that's why I really enjoyed what you said to me when you said you have the best. Someone's got to have the best.
Yes.
You
Yes.
said I have the best restaurant in Japan, and I
Yes.
went. And you didn't say it in a way that made me feel like you were trying to be bragging about it, or
Yes.
you're stuck up. None of that. It was just like it's a fact.
And you know, as I keep telling people, when I say it's the best, I would be found out fairly easily if it
In this
wasn't
place,
the best.
this is an
Yes.
island. People think it's an island.
Yes. So,
Yes.
you know, if I started going around town saying it's the best and it wasn't, I mean, there would be a gap between reality and what I was saying. But we have guests coming to us, and we have friends of guests coming to us saying that, you know, they've put it in the top 5, for example, dining experiences in their life. I get that a lot, actually, saying, "Oh, my friend ate there, and he says it's in the top 5 dining experiences of his life." Or, yeah, really, I mean, it's quite a regular occurrence for people to say this to me.
Because what you said to me too is that you said, like, people have a meal that maybe they don't usually have, but after they have that, they say, "Now let me have some comfort food.
Yes.
Let me just have a bowl of ramen." And they'll make you said
Yes.
it doesn't matter what they want.
Yes.
You'll do it.
Anything.
They want a hamburger.
As long as we have
they'll
the
get a
ingredients.
hamburger.
Yes.
They'll do it.
For example, we serve the best beef in Japan right now, and everyone, says they have the best beef, but we have the certificate from the Japanese Beef Industry Association
They
that
would know.
says that this is the best beef in Japan, and we tell guests you can have it whatever way you wish. I personally love it like a sukiyaki and a steak. I do a tasting, but we have guests who say, "Okay, make me a hamburger. I want to have a hamburger using the best beef in Japan." And of course we do. Or someone says a steak sandwich or a Thai beef salad, whatever they wish. It's our command, basically.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful.
It's so much fun. A lot of people, when they finish the ordering process, they say, "Oh my goodness, this is so enjoyable." And I say, it's not stopping there yet, because if you eat something, you like it, you can have more of it. You can say to our team, "Oh, one more of that, please." And then, "Oh, another one, please." I mean, you can have whatever you wish, as much of it as you wish. It's all one price. So,
and you said also that, like, you have a counter, and then
Yes.
you have 4 rooms they can
Yes.
choose from.
yes.
And how many people in a room?
It really depends on the room, but in total, our capacity is 26 for the private rooms. So, and with divided among 4 rooms.
Okay. 26.
And then we have a chef's kitchen counter made with the same granite from the quarry where Osaka Castle's granite was taken from, and that seats 14. Yeah.
That's so nice. So they can watch the chef cook while
Yes,
they're there. Okay.
and it really depends on the mood of the guest. So some guests like to talk to the chef or have a casual counter sort of experience. And then so they choose the first floor. And I also recommend the first floor, the counter for first time diners. And then other people are taking guests for more formal entertaining, or they're having a discussion that they don't want others to hear, or they're proposing marriage, for example. Then of course they want the private rooms.
Right.
Yes.
So how late can someone stay at the restaurant?
The restaurant closes at 11:30 at night.
11:30 at night.
Yes, which is quite late by Tokyo standards.
It didn't tell me. It really is.
So, for example, foreigners are not used to eating at 6 o'clock, whereas in Japan, it's not unusual to eat
That's
at
true.
6.
That's true.
But so we have people coming in at 9 or 9:30 to have dinner, and our only request is that they finish by 11:30 because the team needs to get
Right.
home on the last trains.
Right. Oh. But if it's really a special occasion and they really
Yes.
request it, you may
Yes.
say, okay.
Oh yes, we've had that actually.
Oh, really?
I remember one time our team is so nice, so they never have pushed anyone out of the restaurant.
I don't think so. Right.
So it was 11:40 actually, and they were still serving guests with a huge smile because their main intention is to make sure every guest leaves happy. And it was I who was worried for them and their last train. So I was the one who sort of started to wrap things up with the guests, because if not, they were not going to do it, because for them, they would rather make the guests happy than, make sure they got on the last train home. And which I really, really like. But of course, I want to take care of our team too and make sure that they do get on the last train home.
That's so nice. So what do we find you doing in the near future?
Well, after this novel.
Do you have a time when you think you want to really finish it? Or is it
Yes,
just
well,
gonna be
thanks to you. I think I'm finishing it in 2 weeks.
When
At
did
least
you-
the
when-
manuscript.
When did you think prior to that? When did you think it was going to happen?
Well,
Prior to this revelation of ChatGPT taking you all the way.
I've had people pushing me to do this for the last 2 years.
Right.
A lot of them even are people I've never met, but they say your story is incredible. You should make it into a book. You should make it into a novel. We'd love to read it. So people have been pushing me, and I just never sat down to do it because it does take time to sit. It takes time to write an essay, how much more a novel of 80,000 words. So it was in my head all the time, but it was never on my computer
Right.
until I met you.
Well, I'll take the credit.
Yes.
I'll take the credit. You should have that. Make sure this is in the book too.
I know,
I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But that's wonderful. That is really good. I like that because I think that technology is something that we need to really start to grasp and not be afraid of it.
Oh, of course, because
People are afraid. I think that's part of it too. They're afraid of AI. They're afraid of what it might do. And I think that box has already been opened.
And I think it's really a phase, because I remember when people were afraid of the internet, and look where we are now. And when people were doing emails, I was one of the first to embrace emails because I loved it. You could send it instantly. And I had people coming up to me very proud of the fact that they were never sending emails and they were dictating messages to their secretary.
And writing, right.
And writing,
Right,
I don't know,
right.
faxes, I think, at the time.
That's
or
right,
something.
right.
So, I remember this phase distinctly. So, technology, for every step of technology, there will be this phase where people will be hesitant until it becomes mainstream. Just look at cryptocurrency. Bitcoin hit $100,000 yesterday, was it? And I remember the time when 2016, I was in Moscow and I'd heard about cryptocurrency. I'd heard about Bitcoin. So I got excited about it. Come back to Tokyo, and around me, I live in the world of finance, by osmosis. Around me are all the private bankers, investment bankers, fund managers, hedge fund managers. They're all around me. So the first thing I do when I come back to Tokyo from Moscow is say, have you heard of Bitcoin? And all of them said, yes. And what do you think of it? And they said, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Every single one. And I know
exactly.
everyone in the
Right,
finance industry
right.
in this town. Everyone said, oh,
Don't touch it.
don't touch it. Don't even think about it. Or too dangerous. It hit $100,000 $6 yesterday.
So you've got some.
2016.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I have some too. And isn't it interesting? They said that, but why is it that at Roppongi Crossing,
That's been up for quite a while.
isn't there something?
Yes.
But they're very restrictive, so I don't get mine here. I get it through the U.S.
Oh, I see. Well,
Because there's other ones that you can get. Okay,
Yes.
but it's difficult. They don't want their people because they know that the Japanese, they'll do it as a group, and everyone will do one thing, and they're worried that it could affect the economy.
Maybe.
So they're trying to keep Bitcoin is set. That's for sure.
Yes.
That's the standard. But there's so many other currencies.
Yes. And of course, I think the Japanese government, it's quite regulated here in Japan, which is also good because it protects consumers.
That's
and
right.
It sort of keeps out people trying to
Scam or whatever.
scam other people. So there is a barrier to entry here,
there is.
which makes it good for consumers. But that also has a downside, of course. Like as
You're
you
limited
said,
as to how
the
much you'll be able
coins
to do.
are limited and all that. But for me, the fact that we even have crypto here and people can actually
Purchase it, right?
purchase it makes it's a big step. And I feel good in a regulated environment, because of course there are many countries where it's completely unregulated, but then you're not protected
That's right.
by
But
anything,
you
and
better
it's
do your
like a
homework.
cowboy country.
That's right, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. A lot of
So-
people have been burned that way too.
Yes.
And I like also gold. I don't know how many people. I was going to make some of my podcast about finance, and I think I might eventually. But gold, I'm a big buyer of gold.
How do you buy gold,
Tanaka.
by the way?
I go to Tanaka.
see.
Only because it's Japanese and there's no issue whatsoever.
I
But I like to
see.
have the real bar.
Yes, I
With
thought
the
you were going to
coins
say
and
you've bought your wife
No.
like
But I do
a
that.
million necklaces or something.
No, I do that. I bought my sons. I
I
bought all of my
see.
sons
Oh,
gold
excellent.
chains.
I
And then I
see.
gave one. I give those gifts
Yes.
because that's something that will never lose its value, but it won't make you rich.
Yes. It's
But
a
that's a way to
hedge.
hedge against inflation. That's the
Yes.
only thing, because it will keep pace with inflation.
Yes.
That's for
yes.
sure.
And if you
Gold.
look at the charts, I
Right.
think Bitcoin and gold have sort of
Basically
mirrored
very similar.
each other.
The gold has a history. But Bitcoin, there's no doubt that we're going to go digital. But the banks have, anyway, we can get into that.
It's, as I said, every step of technology, there is a hesitation phase.
Right.
I've seen it, emails, internet, ChatGPT, but you can't stop progress, and it's a matter of time. I mean, I remember when, for example, camera phones. Everyone takes photos
With their camera,
with
their phone now. But before they had these big cameras. Everyone had these
Exactly.
35 carrying these around.
Yes.
You don't see foreigners with that. They all have their phones. You can even watch the
Exactly.
newscasters. 'Cause
Yes,
this-
you can watch movies on
what
your
am I using
phone.
here?
Yes.
4 phones.
Can you imagine? See, so as I said, every technology has this hesitation and adaptation phase.
That's right.
So it's natural that ChatGPT and all these will have this phase, and we are the early ones in that sense.
Early adapters,
but
right.
I'm sure you were early adapter for the email and internet and crypto, and it's the same with me. But the mainstream, of course, will come later. But I really love being,
On top of it.
on the early part.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Because really, I remember working for a hedge fund manager. Well, I used to work for hedge funds.
Yeah, because give me a little bit about your work background.
Well, after college, I worked for ISEC, which is the biggest student organization in the world. And I worked for the international office based in Brussels as the regional development officer for Asia Pacific.
Was that straight out of college?
Yes, straight out
And
of
you
college.
went to Brussels?
Well, the office is in Brussels, but I was in charge of traveling around Asia Pacific region, everywhere from Japan to New Zealand, to help the different chapters of ISEC in different universities set up or fix their problems or talk at seminars and just do everything to raise the profile of the organization. And it was a paying full-time job. And then I worked as the information officer of the Philippine government to Japan, which is a very, very interesting and fun job. And then I worked for hedge funds for a while. And this is when I was tasked one day with asking people in Japan, just regular consumers, how do you feel about taking photos with your phone? And I remember like maybe 95% of people I asked, and I asked a whole lot of regular consumers, they said, I can't imagine doing that. I love my camera. What would I do taking photos on my phone? The resolution would never be good enough.
And these are the flip phones, right?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, that wasn't good.
So this is how we began, and now no one has a camera. So
if they do, they've sold it. Why would you use it? It's
or
too bulky.
It's in the museum.
What are you going to carry that around for?
Exactly. But see, so we've seen how this is adapted from people saying, "Don't do that. I can't do that." This negativity to everyone doing it, and for every technology, this has been the case.
Right. So when you finished when you were doing that student job,
yes.
and you went through the finance, you went into finance. Then what?
Then I started a magazine, a travel magazine. It's called Travel Life.
It still exists,
yes,
right?
It still exists.
Okay.
And again, that was another inspiring idea. I was at the restaurant having dinner with friends, and I just said, I'm going to start a travel magazine tomorrow.
But were you married or single then?
I was married.
Okay, you're married.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I said, I'm going to start a travel magazine tomorrow. So that's just what I did. I mean, I'm that kind of person. I think it and then I do it. And there's not much complications between the thinking and the doing.
Now, your husband's in finance?
Yes, he is.
Okay, he's in finance. Do you know what? Your daughter, you said she's in junior high, I guess, now?
Yes,
middle school?
10th grade.
Okay. Does she aspire to do anything? Where do you see her talents now?
Well, she says she likes math.
And you like her liking math?
Yes, well, I like her liking anything.
Okay.
I'm happy she likes something.
How do you deal with her with this digital environment we have now, where they have access to the phones and stuff? Because that's become quite an issue with teens.
I know, and
How
I
do you
don't like
handle
it at all.
How do you handle it?
We're not handling it very well, perhaps. No, I mean, I see it everywhere. People have stopped having conversations because
even
of
when
the
they're
phone.
out dining.
Yes, and it's not just teenagers, it's adults. A lot of people in general have lost the ability to have intelligent conversations. And we were talking about this earlier. A lot of people have reduced themselves to viewing other people's lives because it's so comfortable to do it. I understand this. You're sitting down, you don't have to work, you don't have to exert any effort, and you're watching something interesting to you, which is someone else living their life.
Right.
So they're living life vicariously via technology on their phones. So for me, this is the downside of phones. Like I don't find other people's lives interesting. I want to make my life interesting.
So with your daughter, do you have her downtime, or does she has a phone? Obviously.
Well, I've spoken to her to tell her to control her, her usage. I hope, she does it. I think we're past the age where I need to take her phone at 9 o'clock and, make sure it's locked away. I mean, I should have done that perhaps a few years ago. So at this age, it's more like making them realize that, what this kind of screen time is doing to their minds. It's literally controlling them. And this is, again, the downside of technology if you don't know how to use it.
I have an audio book about that right now. I'll share it with you afterwards and tell you what it is, and it's about that very subject. I'm not dealing with that now, but my grandchildren, it's hard to even imagine where they're going to be, because we're getting to the stage where we'll be putting chips in our head to be connected to the internet.
Yes.
And willingly, just so we can be up to pace to what's going on.
Yes, I know. And, the world, we were talking about it earlier, but the world is going to be divided between creators and viewers.
Right.
And the creators will be 1% of the population, and 99% will be viewing what the creators made. And so you either have to be in one or the other, and I hope most people realize that they do need to get out of their sofa, and they do need to put the phone down or the screen down and actually live life.
I like the fact that I got a chuckle out of you when I said there's 3 types of people in the world.
Yes.
Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder what happened.
Yes, particularly the third one. I hadn't thought of that one.
So you want to make sure you're in the first
You're
group.
in the first
making
group.
Things happen.
Oh my goodness.
And it's so easy. I think we're put here to do that. We're here to create, to make things we have. And you do it with love, passion, a tremendous amount of interest, and pass it on.
Yes.
Yes. Pass it on. Help others do what they want to do as well. Everyone has their own journey.
Yes, for sure.
Christine, before I end the podcast, there's always a question I like to ask. If you could magically go back in time and meet the younger Christine and give her advice based upon what you know now, how old would you be at that time, and what advice would you give yourself?
If it was 20 years ago, or even 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have bought more land in Tokyo and probably bought some crypto as well.
Even more?
More.
Well, it's never too late. The land's still here, and I tell you, that's what we do. So if you're looking for it, it's available. And remember, you don't have to use your money.
Yes.
They just want a good tenant. But the banks are looking for people that they can trust, that they feel will make it profitable.
That's
true. So if you're interested.
Let me get my hotel done first and my novel.
For sure. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you, Lance.
I want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And never forget, it's all on loan, so continue to reach for the stars.
Because you're too blessed to be stressed.